Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity in the Heart, St. Paul. We're so grateful for everyone who's joining us today, whether you're sitting in front of me with your smiling faces or you're watching remotely. Together, we make one community. I'd like to introduce our service team today. Providing the music, we have Dennis Curley as our resident pianist. Dennis will also be leading the congregational songs. He will be accompanied by Mary Copette on the piano, and Mary is the person who chooses our congregational songs every single week. Our guest musicians are Amy and Adams. Always nice to have you, too. And if you'd like to hear more of their music, they have CDs for sale in this corner right here. Our chaplain on duty today is Reverend Lori Brandt. She will be at the back after the service. If you have any prayer needs and you'd like to see her, please do that after the service. And I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Reverend Lisa Herklotz. Always wonderful to have you, Lisa. Thank you. My name is Peggy George, and I'm the platform assistant today. Who? The camera operator today is Dave Barrett. And the sound, you guys must have added this since the last time. The sound is Greg Iden, and we might as well say the usher is Reverend Jim Fisher, right? Let's see, did I miss anybody here? And now Reverend Lisa will have an opening prayer for us.
I invite you to gently close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. And on that exhale, let your focus and attention move to your heart as we come together in prayer. We turn within and claim and affirm the power of Spirit living in and through and as us in this world. When Jesus spoke of being the light, this is what he meant. We shine as the presence of God, the presence of Spirit in each and every situation we find ourselves in. And centering deeply in that knowledge, we experience true freedom, true liberation. And as we look around our world, we claim this profound freedom and liberation for all of those who are seeking, who are standing up, who are bravely facing unbelievable consequences. We stand together with each and every one. And even those who appear to be oppressors, we stand with them, seeing hearts and minds opening. And a true global awakening is now. And that is peace on earth. And so it is. Amen.
And now it's time for our first congregational song.
Good morning, everyone. Both songs are in the White Book today, so you're lucky. You don't have to scramble to find the second one. The first one is number 1. My goodness, that couldn't be easier to find. This is the day. So let's stand and sing together. This is the day. We will sing it twice through. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day that the Lord has made. Thank you. Harmony and everything. You can be seated.
Before we continue with our regularly scheduled broadcast, we have a special little acknowledgement today for our guest speaker, Reverend Lisa Herklotz. Lisa has been serving our community regularly as a guest speaker since way before the pandemic, and we have all been blessed by her presence and by her wisdom and by the centered heart from which she presents her messages. And she and her husband, another Reverend Jim, who are both fairly newly hatched Unity ministers, came here to our metro area with a dream of someday being co-ministers in a church. And after a number of years of preparation and waiting and prayer and listening, that dream is coming to fruition. They will be moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, to co-minister at church. Lisa, could you come up for a hug and a blessing? And we also have a very simple little gift for you to take along. So let's give Reverend Lisa our standard Unity in the Heart blessing. We love you, we bless you, and we behold the Christ's presence within you. Thank you, Reverend Lisa. Yes.
I know I'll miss your talks, Reverend Lisa, very much. I have one announcement. Today is starting a 7-week book study of the book, The 7 Spiritual Gifts of Waiting by Holly Whitcomb. The series will include a Sunday talk, which starts today. Reverend Lisa will give the first gift. And then there are 2 chances for a small group discussion. If you want to do it remotely, it's Tuesday. It'll start this Tuesday at 6 p.m. via Zoom, so go on to our website for that. And then in church or after church at noon, that will start next Sunday, doing the small group discussion. It says, note, you can mix and match how you want to do it. If you want to do Zoom one week, you want to do it in person the next week, that's just fine. Oh, sure, you could do all 14 of them if you want. Is that really get into discussion? Does anybody else have any other announcements? Dennis, anything? Greg? Okay. Well, this does happen to be the second Sunday in the month of October, which means that it's Birthday Sunday. So if you're here, is there anybody with a birthday in the month of October? Stand up. Not a single birthday. If you're at home, we don't know if you have a birthday this month, but stand up anyway. So what do? My sister's birthday was yesterday. Should we sing? Let's, whoever has a birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friend.
People who have birthdays in October.
Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you. You're wonderful. God is blessing you now.
And as I tell my sister, she'll always be 2 years older than I am, no matter what. Let's say our affirmation of faith for unity in the heart. Together, there is one and only one presence and power active in my life and in the universe, the all-loving and wise Spirit of God. Let's also recite the vision statement for unity in the heart. Together, led by Spirit, we recognize God within everyone as we co-create infinite love, peace, and abundance in our global community. The daily word for today, Sunday, October 9th, is World Peace. Peace creates beauty in the world. An artist creates beauty out of a spectrum of shades and hues, and the diversity of color adds to the depth of the artwork. In this same manner, the differences in the world show the possibility of splendor when combined in the right way. I envision a world in which all people are accepted exactly as they are. I set an intention to practice and facilitate goodwill toward others. I behold the world around me and find examples of people and cultures blending and mixing in magnificent ways. The potential for peaceful interaction and coexistence are endless. Acts of kindness, honesty, and healthy communication paint pictures of harmony. As I choose non-judgment and unconditional positive regard, I create peace in the world. And from Psalm 34:14, depart from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it. And now it's time for the second congregational song.
And this one is also in the White Book. It's number 31. And as you're all turning to 31, I want to add my thanks to Reverend Lisa. During the pandemic, you always submitted your videos to me, and they were always on time. Big deal. And beautiful, beautiful backgrounds, beautiful messages, very comfortable. So thank you for everything you did to keep us going through that as well. So let's stand and sing together number 31, We Are All More the Same. We all see the same sun, and we all see the same moon, and we all feel the earth beneath our feet. Same tune here. And we all breathe the same air, and we all share the same world, and we're all more the same than we are different. Here's a little verse. So let's hold each other gently, and teach each other softly, and treat each other lovingly, and let's start giving. We all see the same sun, and we all see the same moon, and we all feel the earth beneath our feet. And we all breathe the same air, and we all share the same world, and we're all more the same than we are different. So let's hold the vision gently, and teach the children softly, and heal our world completely, and let's start living. We all see the same sun, and we all see the same moon, and we all feel the earth beneath our feet. And we all breathe the same air, and we all share the same world, and we're all more the same than we are different. And we're all more the same than we are different. And we're all more the same than we are different. Thank you. You can be seated.
The Unity Movement was founded on prayer. Let's focus our attention on our prayer needs today. Please take a moment to bring to mind any concerns you have, any prayers you need. Could be for yourself, for someone else. Could be a prayer of joy or anything that's close to your heart right now. Let's pray together. Our loving God, we know that all prayers are answered in the perfect way and time. Our hearts and minds are filled with divine spirit as we feel the presence and power of God working through us. We affirm the highest good in all situations. For those here, you can place your prayer notes in the basket at offering time. We will hold them in prayer for 30 days here and then send them on to Silent Unity. You may also send a prayer request to the prayer chaplains at unityintheheart@gmail.com. Now it's time for our first guest song.
This will be a sing-along. As we have a few gardens still, we're going to take advantage of. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me is falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe, his voice to is calling, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. And you ended up right on pitch, everybody.
Thank you so much for that music, Mark and Amy. And now it's time for Reverend Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing on this amazingly gorgeous fall day? Could this not be any more beautiful? I've just been driving around and thinking this is absolutely the most spectacular fall, and we're not even in the peak yet, and it's made the drive here really just amazing. As Peggy mentioned, thank you, Peggy and Mary, that Reverend Jim and I will be leaving for North Carolina at the end of this month, and I just feel so honored that this is my last guest speaking spot here in Minnesota, because it's where I started, in Minnesota. I was at Unity of Minneapolis doing my internship, but this is really where I began guest speaking. And I just want to say thank you for trusting me as a ministerial student to come and speak to you. And this was the congregation that I had my inaugural guest speaking spot as a newly ordained minister about 1.5 years ago. And so it just seems so perfect that this would be where I say goodbye. Or maybe until I see you, right? Because there's really not goodbyes anymore. We are all so connected via Zoom and the internet and everything else that I don't really feel like I'm leaving everyone. And certainly I am taking a big part of you in my heart, because this has been such a big part of my own growth and preparation for moving into our new adventure. I do want to especially say thank you to Mary and Karen and Dennis. We've had an adventure together, haven't we? Dennis already mentioned that I started guest speaking, well, I think before lockdown, and then lockdown happened, and we started the whole video game, and that was fun. And I went through all the process of starting videos that weren't great, but they got better and better and better as I learned how to do it, and Dennis and Karen were just always there. So that was really fun, and I take that memory with me. And to all of you on the board and the staff who've welcomed me here on a regular basis, and to Reverend Lori and to Reverend Jim for the foundation you have laid as Unity ministers, and for just being here and continuing to shine the light for those of us who are picking up the torch and moving forward, hopefully. So just thank you so much for that. And Reverend Ray, who's not here, but Reverend Ray out there, wherever you are, thank you for everything. I don't know if you all know, but Reverend Ray was the student advisor as I was going through ministerial school. I have worked with him as part of the Great Lakes Region Board and on the conference committee. He's taught classes, and he has continued to invite me here to speak to you every other month. So Reverend Ray's played a huge part in my ministerial path. So Reverend Ray, can't say thank you enough. And I know I will see you around. All right, so my talk today, he picks the best books. I love the books the series that he creates. And when he told me this would be the first Sunday and it was on patience, he said, if you don't want to do that one, it's okay, I'll pick it up next week. And I went, patience, oh no, I'm going to talk about that one. That's been at the top of my growing edge list forever. And I'm sure that many of you can relate to the gift of patience. This is the book, if you haven't seen it yet. I know some of you said you've started reading. I'm so happy you're doing a book study on it because it's just a lovely gem. It's easy to read, but it's impactful, and it's such a great reminder about the gifts we get from having to wait. And our culture teaches so much the opposite of that it takes practice and constant reminders. So we're going to be talking about the first gift of patience. And I just want you to think for a moment about a recent time when you've had to stand in line for the grocery store or something else, or you're in traffic trying to get somewhere and it's just not moving. Or yesterday, Jim and I were coming back from the corn maze, my husband's first experience with the corn maze. We had a great time. But we're coming back and we're sitting at the light in St. Cloud, and an ambulance had to come through. So it turned the light off on our end because it was just about our turn to go, right? So it turned it off so the ambulance could go through. And then we had to wait another whole cycle. I'm waiting for it to turn green, and Jim goes, no, we're going to have to wait now. I'm like, what? I didn't have anywhere to be. We were just heading home. But isn't that kind of a go-to place of, why are you making me wait? So what an amazing thing to realize, and I did, because I was given this talk today. I said, wait a minute, there's a gift here. I can accept the gift. And I turned to him and I took his hand and said, I get a few more minutes of sitting here with you together before we move forward. And we just laughed a little, and then the light turned green. So many opportunities we have for this experience. I'm going to start, though, with Charles Fillmore. This is from Keep a True Lent. And he says, patience is a state of mind that beholds the world from the harmony of the Christ mind, a freedom from personal thinking. Patience is a state of mind that sees the world in harmony. But it sees the world in harmony from what he calls Christ mind, which is our spiritual consciousness. It's not our everyday consciousness that's dealing with the worldly matters, but that greater awareness that there's something so much bigger we're a part of. It's from that place that patience is born. He goes on to say it's an attitude of mind characterized by poise, calmness, and a quiet, restful trust. A quiet, restful trust sounds a lot like faith. Faith. He says, especially in the face of trying conditions. So I want to talk a little bit then about, well, we've already talked about how we experience waiting in a million different ways through our everyday life, but what about those bigger things in our life that we're looking forward to getting or experiencing or unfolding that don't come to us immediately? Maybe someone here has dealt with an injury or an illness that has taken some time to completely heal or be restored. Perhaps you've dealing with someone who is elderly and beginning to go through the last stages of life. It has its time, and we have to learn how to be there and to be present. What about trying to balance work and school and a job until we graduate, right? Ministerial school is like that. I worked full time and went to school, and I was like, oh, when is this going to end? When am I going to be done? Well, then, boom, it's done. Then I'm moving on to the next thing. But there's always things that take longer commitments in our life that aren't going to come to us immediately. This co-minister position for Jim and I unfolded in the most magnificent way. But I can only say that to you now that we're moving into it, and I can look back, right? I couldn't tell you that when I'm in the midst of my journey, but what I could tell you is, where are we? We're right here. We're right here in Minnesota. I'm working with some of the smaller churches in the area, or Jim's working with Unity of Central Minnesota. We're fully present, we're fully engaged, and we don't know what's coming next. But every now and then we sit down and we go, what's our vision? What is Spirit telling us? And it always said co-ministers. So we said, okay, then it must be coming. And then we would just go about doing what was in front of us to do. But now that I stand in this moment telling you, holy cow, it happened. Not only that, but it's taking us to the part of the country we have always wanted to go live in. That was another part of our dream. And it just unfolded in a way that we didn't push and try to make it happen. It was like at the right time, we said, oh, it's time for us to start looking. Here was this opportunity. It happened to be in Charlotte. And as we stepped through it with open minds, open hearts, going, Spirit, whatever we were guided to do, we'll do. If we're meant to stay here, we're happy to stay here. If we're meant to go, we're happy to go. And as it kept unfolding and became more certain, we one morning woke up and went, oh my gosh, this is everything we asked for. So, and looking back on it, I can say, now we're ready. And we're ready because of you, and because of the other communities we worked with, and because of the Reverend Rays and the Reverend Pats that we interned with, and the churches and communities we worked with, all part of our growth to prepare us for this next step. And that's what waiting offers us. But how do we go through it? Do we go through it fretting and anxious? And I have to admit, there were moments. Or do we rest in faith and begin to experience the gift that patience is? So going back to Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of our Unity movement with his wife Myrtle, he says the first requirement in the development of patience is spiritual understanding. Spiritual understanding. Now, why would that be? Because patience is dependent on how we view life, how we view ourselves in our life. So if we are coming from our ego or our personality or that part of us that has forgotten our divine nature, then it's necessarily going to be pretty self-centered. And it's looking out for its own self-interest. Because that's all it knows. When we're in that conscious state of mind, that's all we know is how does this impact me, and how do I get what I want or feel like I need to have? When we're coming from that, there's going to be some fretting and anxiety when we have to wait for things, because we're seeing things from a smaller perspective. But when we are centered in our spiritual consciousness, the Christ mind that Charles Fillmore was speaking about, we have a much bigger perspective of who we are in this world and what our life is about. And that shift in perspective is where the gift of patience is received and experienced. When we are centered in an awareness of our divine nature, then we are aware of not just ourselves, but of others and how our connection is with others. We're aware of many more opportunities because we're allowing the universe to provide all the abundance that it is, instead of just seeing what we see in the moment, in limitation. When we come from a spiritual consciousness, we're no longer looking for a quick fix. This is one of the things she talks about in her book. We stop looking for a quick fix because, which is somewhere where our culture is teaching us to go, right? And now we're needing to learn more and more to pause and ask. Pause and see what comes to us in that quiet place. So we're not looking for a quick fix anymore. We're not looking out to the future for peace. And the word no, instead of being experienced as a block to us moving forward, becomes an invitation. No can become an invitation because no means, oh, so not that way, then there must be another door, another path, another way that's going to be offered, that's going to work better. When we come from a spiritual consciousness and we invite in that gift of patience, we begin to experience what the author calls the rightness of God's time. And I really like that, the rightness of God's time. We talk about it more as divine flow, universal flow, divine timing, which is very much what I shared about my experience of getting to North Carolina. We really never angst over it. We weren't going, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? We would just check in every now and then and go, is that still our vision? And it's yes, okay. And what do we need to do today? And by engaging fully in today, we knew that whatever the universe needed to pull together to make that happen, and whatever we needed to do to grow, to be ready for that opportunity, was right here and now. And that's faith. Faith is knowing what you need is right here and now, even if the end result is still off in the future somewhat. Power of faith. So, patience is not a passive experience. She talks about this too, and I really like that. Patience is active. And doesn't that seem odd? Because you think patience is, and it is, about slowing down and learning to be still. But there's an activity of mind that you have to choose to engage in. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things you can do to really invite in and experience the gift of patience. One is practice mindfulness. Now that's not a new word. Many of you have heard that. What is mindfulness? Just simply pausing, taking a breath, and becoming present. So the moment I begin to feel that sense of fret and stress, I go, oh, time for a mindful moment. And I just pause and focus on breath. You always have your breath with you. You can never not be without it. So it's always a great go-to place. Now, the thing that practicing mindfulness does is it helps us to accept the circumstances we're in just as they are. Because mindfulness is no judgment. It's being present with things just as they appear to you. Whether that's pleasant or unpleasant. It's accepting for the moment. It doesn't mean that you're not going to work towards changing things. But in the moment, when you accept it just as it is, something miraculous happens. Because you stop resisting. And as soon as you stop resisting, the universe can rush in to support you in whatever changes need to happen. The other thing that I think we are learning to do is to actively build a tolerance for being a bit uncomfortable. create or develop a stronger tolerance for being a bit uncomfortable. Now, I'm not talking about extreme pain here. It's not about sitting in extreme pain, but you know, you're sitting in the traffic, or you're dealing with an injury, and you know, you don't want to have to be stuck on the couch with a broken ankle. But for the moment, that's your situation. And it's an uncomfortable one. Maybe there's things that you have to do and you don't know how you're going to do them. Let it be uncomfortable for a moment. It's okay to be a little uncomfortable. It's going back to that mindfulness where if we stop resisting, once again, the universe rushes in to bring us exactly what we need. The other thing about that is this idea of letting it feel broken. This is going back to the idea of there's no quick fix. We're not here to immediately fix everything, because often our ideas of fixing are just kind of a Band-Aid approach to get it out of our minds, when really we might need to go deeper. So that's part of being uncomfortable, is if something doesn't seem to be going right, a project is going off the rails, you're rushing and you can't get somewhere on time, pause, take a breath, let the situation be exactly as it is, and realize you don't have to immediately fix it. That doesn't mean it won't get fixed. But when you pause and open up and allow the gift of patience to come into your experience, the next step of how to move forward to fix it might surprise you. And it might offer a way that's so much more graceful than what you knew before. So finally, I have just when you're feeling rushed, consciously slow down. All of these kind of go hand in hand, right? That's what mindfulness is. That's what letting it be okay is. But this is a moment of recognizing you need that mindful moment. When I start to feel myself going, I got to get there, or this isn't happening fast, which I did with our Charlotte, our experience in Charlotte. It's like, why aren't they calling? Why haven't they called us yet? Why haven't we heard back yet? Why haven't we seen the contract yet? Luckily, this is a nice thing about having a co-minister. He goes, it'll come. He just say, they're doing their due diligence. Let them go through their process. It's like, oh yeah, okay. And just let it be what it is. So he was my great reminder, and then there are many times I'm his great reminder. To pause, take a breath, move. What's really happening is you're shifting from a consciousness of personality to that spiritual consciousness we talked about that Charles Fillmore was mentioning. The spiritual consciousness that recognizes there's a much bigger perspective, and that the universe is pulling together all the pieces needed to make this graceful and successful. Let it do its work. But the active part of this is my intention in keeping my mind and my heart in that place of practicing patience as a spiritual consciousness. And just one more thing, and that is you can be playful. I have to remind myself of this because I can get so serious. And when I stop and pause in that moment, sometimes I remember just be a little kid for the moment. Enjoy it. And remember to stop and enjoy moments like a child would, with that sense of wonder. If we're constantly fretting and worrying about how we're going to get where we're going or pull things together or get that thing fixed, then we forget to just pause and play. And play is one of the most creative states of mind. So sometimes in the midst of your play, that's when the answers come. That's when the pieces fall together. So patience allows you time to play. All right. So I just want to wrap up by going back to the words of Charles Fillmore again, that patience is a state of mind that beholds the world from the harmony of Christ mind. That Christ mind is our mind. And we get there by choice. So, I love you. I bless you. I so appreciate each and every one of you. And I wish for you, or affirm for you, the gift of patience. Namaste.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself.
So I invite you now again to close your eyes. Rest your hands loosely on your lap if that's comfortable. Let your shoulders drop a little as you relax more deeply into the chair, knowing you are fully supported and safe in this space. For those online, wherever you are, if you can sit back and relax and join in this meditation. Focus on your breath, feeling the air moving in and out. In and out. Continue to focus on your breath for just a moment, letting each inhale rest in your heart, and each exhale rest your body and your mind as you go a little deeper, a little broader into who and what you are as a divine expression of God. And as you feel that sense of openness and certainty, bring to mind a situation you may be experiencing currently, where perhaps you haven't felt a deep sense of patience or faith with. Perhaps there's some worry, some anxiety, some concern, some sense of it's not moving fast enough, or it's not unfolding the way I thought it would. It could be something small, it could be something more big and profound in your life. But bring the situation to mind and feel it. How does it feel? if there's any sense of fear or stress, uncertainty. Simply recognize that and say, "Ah, yes, there it is." And breathe into it. And invite into that same space the gift of patience. Powered by faith in knowing there is not any place where God is absent. There is no situation in which Spirit is not fully engaged. And there is nothing the universe would hold back from you. This is a journey, and we welcome it as we move into the silence. And as you're ready, let yourself gently and easily move back into an awareness of the room, the feeling of your body on the chair, the beautiful strains of the piano. But bring with you this sense of patience as a gift to living life more fully, more engaged, more present. And when we live in the present moment, life becomes a gift. In gratitude for that presence that lives within us, expressing as us, we say thank you, and so it is. Amen.
And so it is, this perfect moment, and so it is, this perfect truth, and so it is within my heart, and so it is, and so it is, this perfect moment, and so it is, this perfect truth, and so it is within my heart, and so it is, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Lisa, for your message. What a great introduction to that book I enjoyed hearing about your experience with patience and perhaps the lack of it these last few years as your vision was manifesting. Thank you. And if you're interested in doing the small book discussion groups and have not purchased the book, the weekly email I noticed on Thursday or Friday had questions to look at if it helps you kind of think about the book. And I'm going to guess it every week. Those questions will be there. Now is the time when we acknowledge that all we have comes to us from God, our source. With these gifts, we express openness to give and receive and gratitude for God's generous supply.
My gift goes forth on the wings of love, and in lands where it can heal and bless, it returns to me, multiplied 1,000-fold, as the universe says yes, yes, as the universe says yes.
Let's join in the blessing of our gifts. Together, divine love and wisdom flowing through me, bless and multiply all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Let's join together in the blessing of our gifts. With grateful hearts, we bless these gifts and say, "Thank you, God, for the abundant blessings we enjoy." We joyfully send these gifts into the world, expressing God's unlimited love, abundance, and supply. Thank you. For those who want to contribute electronically, you'll find a donate button on our webpage after the service, or you can mail your contributions to Unity in the Heart, 1898 Eigelhart Avenue, St. Paul, Minnesota, 55104. And now it's time for Mark and Amy.
Reverend Lisa, thank you for writing your sermon specifically for me today. In my dictionary, the only spelling for the word wait is W-E-I-G-H-T.
This is an old hymn by an author named Clara Scott, 1895.
Open my ears that I may hear voices of truth thou sendest clear, and while the wave notes fall on my ear, everything false will disappear. Silently now I wait for thee, ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my ears, illumine, Spirit divine. Open my mouth and let me bear gladly the warm truth everywhere. Open my heart and let me prepare love with thy children, thus to share. Silently now I wait for thee, ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my heart, illumine, Spirit divine. Open my heart, illumine me, Spirit divine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark and Amy, for your wonderful music. Always a pleasure to have you two here with us. Thank you to everyone for being with us today. We at Unity in the Heart hold you in the light of God's healing love during the upcoming week. Let's close our service by singing the peace song and reciting our prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Thank you for being with us today.